Alright, well we finally figured out what this snorkel kit comes from. It's actually from a petrol, 98 to 2000 petrol Jackaroo or Trooper, whatever you want to call them. I've just got this petrol air cleaner box and set it in there and everything lines up. I don't know if you can really see that, but everything lines up quite nicely down there. No, you can't see it, sorry. Well, we'll try this, we'll go this way. Oh, but upside down. Those two pipes will line up quite nicely once you take out that silly big thing on the front of that pipe there. But that won't line up. And I also had to pull all that out of the way, which is going to be a real pain in the butt to get back in, so I'm going to try figuring something out. We'll get back to you and let you know what happens. Alright, there's the air cleaner box in place. And that's the problem we have. Nothing's lining up in there. So the easy and cheapest remedy I can work out is poly fittings. That's two 22 degree 90mm fittings. Oh god, you can't see this, can you? Hopefully once it's in there, it'll be in line and it'll join them two up. Actually no, I think I have to use the 45s. We'll get them. Alright, well we're going to have to modify a few things here, and the good thing with this plastic pipe is you can cut it with the old wood saw. And now the 90mm poly pipe fits on there nicely. We'll be able to make that go really good. Alright. Alright, to get the bit of poly pipe to fit on, we've got to heat it up to make it soft and malleable. And then basically you just get it and you push it nice and hard down on there. While it's hot, it stretches it out as you can see. And then she sits on there and she's nice and tight, won't come off. That's why these fittings I used are what they call MF fittings, male female. Female one end, male the other end. If I can get the part. So basically they just go into each other and you get a shorter joint on it and it works out a lot better that way. Less room, less space. Beautiful. Let's go and see if she's going to fit in there. Alright, there we go. That's fitted on. It works nicely. I just had to twist it a little bit to get it lined up properly. You can see it going through the firewall there, or through the inner guard. And then under here, it goes on there nicely. I just have to put a screw through it to make sure I locate it correctly. Shove a heap of silicone in there so it's waterproof, because it's no use not having it waterproof. We have to trim the inner guard down a little bit because it's actually touching the pipe, and I need to put something in there to stop it rubbing through the pipe if it does move. But we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get these screws in here and we'll get it all sorted out exactly where it has to go. Alright, now we're whacking a couple of screws. I'm using what they call PK screws. They've got a little cutting bit on the end of them, so they drill their way through, so there's less chance of splitting the plastic or anything like that. This is just to make sure when I put it back together, everything lines up perfectly, so I don't have any hassles with it. We'll get this bottom screw put in. Right, once you've test fitted everything, make sure it's all in line. You chuck a couple of screws in there to hold it in place, pull it out, chuck a few more screws. We've got to do something because we've got a bit too big of a gap here, and we're going to suck a lot of water in there if we actually do take this thing submarining. So now it's just a matter of pulling it apart and cleaning up all the burrs, cleaning everything up, and then getting some silicone put in there. Clean the burr up in there so we don't have anything to stick in there, anything to stop airflow. Get a bit of sandpaper, rough that up so the silicone will stick a bit better. Whack our thing back on. Whichever way around it went again. Screw it back on with some silicone in there, and then we should be right. This is the ARB way of doing things. You just fill it with silicone. Got to make sure we don't get no water coming in here. Got a little hole in the bottom here. Blob of silicone on one side. Bit of gentle pressure. Check the bottom to come through. Mushroom it out. That's never coming off of there. We'll get our silicone. You don't need a ton of silicone on here, you're only just waterproofing it. You're not going to hold it together with silicone. There you go. All sealed there. This little bit used to be your water vent, goes on the bottom. That's all sealed now. Now we've sealed the outside of this with hot melt glue, just to make sure it's a good solid fit, because we don't want any movement in this piece. Because the way you get it in and out is you slot fit those two together. And when they're in, that's a really tight seal. It shouldn't leak, but if you do find it does leak, a little bit of silicone on here, stick it back together, you're set, but you might be able to get them apart. As you can see, nice bead of silicone on the inside, make sure no water gets in there. Silicone underneath the washer and on top of the washer, so when the nut's done up, there's no chance of water getting in there. Got silicone all around there. Oh, we've got rocks stuck to that now. Doesn't matter. Silicone on that little hole, silicone on your little thing, they call that a duck bill because it opens up and lets the water out. Well, we don't want water getting in there full stop, so we've siliconed that up to make sure it's fully sealed. Alright, time to assemble everything and test it out and make sure it's working properly. Alright, after the first test we found we had a bit of an air leak. The old seal underneath here was completely stuffed, so I'm just jamming in a bit of, this is door weather stripping. Looks as though it's going in nicely. We'll get that in there and then we'll give it another test and show you it working properly. Test it. Quick and easy work. Block off there. Whoa, what's that? Go over to the engine. You know it's sealed, it sucks the engine down. Oh, I think we've got a bloody good seal on that. Alright, there you go. She's all been put together. She's all been tested. Last thing to do is chuck the little top bit on. The main reason we use one of these is because you've got water that goes in through the front here, will come down, get caught on these, end up down here and drain out. These things are really good for draining water out. That's why I opted for using a bought snorkel instead of making one out of polypipe or stainless steel or aluminium like a lot of people do. I hope you liked my video. I hope it was very informative for a lot of people. Any comments you've got, leave them. If you could give us a thumbs up and subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.